What's going on, guys? For today's video, we're going to be making a comparison between the Sony 70-350G and the big 200-600G lens. And there's no better place than to do this comparison in the beautiful woods of the Pacific Northwest. All right, so starting off with the 70-350G, as you can see in this close-up, we have the standard focus hold button that's on most of the G lenses. We have the autofocus manual focus switch, we have the optical steady shot switch, and we have the lock to make sure that we don't have any lens creep if it's kind of held down. You can look a little bit closer, we see the 70-350 focal range, and you can see it actually zoom in and out quite smooth. There's just enough tension there to make it where it's not going to creep easily, and you're not going to be able to just quickly do it in and out. It's a nice little combination. We do have the focus by wire manual focus ring around here, which it does do the job, because especially the newer Sony cameras have a lot of different ways for us to handle the manual focus. But and aside from that, really, we just have the little signage on here. It's the E4.5-6.3 70-350G OSS. So what that means is that this is for the APS-C mount. The bigger 200-600 is going to be in the FE mount, which is the full frame. And that's about it. It looks pretty nice. One thing I will say though is, and we will get to this more in the video, is that even though it may look large on the screen, it is actually deceptively small when you do hold it in your hand in real life. All right, so now let's go ahead and get to the big 200-600G. All right, so as you can see on the screen right here, it is quite a bit bigger, although we will do the full size comparison later on. We have 3 focus hold buttons, one on the top, one on the left-hand side, and one on the bottom. We have 4 toggles on this one, which is going to be the autofocus manual focus toggle. Now we have the zoom limiter toggle too as well. Now we have the focus limiter toggle as well. So we have full, we have 10 meters to 2.5 meters or 2.4 meters. And then we have 10 meters to infinity. So you can kind of, choose where you want that zone to be. So your autofocus will be a lot faster. Of course, we do have your optical steady shot as usual, as per usual with these kind of lenses. And then we have mode 1, 2, or 3. It's a little bit deceptive, but what mode 1, 2, and 3 is basically just kind of controlling your panning and your tilt. And I will do a video about that later on so we can get the most out of each mode and show you what's good for what kind of photography. And then aside from the rest of that, we do have the standard kind of Sony tripod mount on there, in which you can switch out for maybe like an Arca and things of that nature. And we do have the little screw that lets you slide the ring around so you can push that tripod mount up to the top if you so please, which a lot of people do. I can actually hand hold this. I prefer hand holding it with that tripod mount on the bottom, just my hands are so big. But others, it might be a little bit tough for them to reach some of these other things. And then we do have the 200-600 focus slider right there. Now in this case, it's an internal zoom, so while it zooms internally, everything stays balanced and you don't really see the lens popping in and out. So the size and height of the lens is the same from 200 as it is at 600, unlike the 70-350, in which the barrel does extend out at the 350 point. And other than that, we have the nice big hood mount on there, and it's white, just like a lot of the old kind of Canon lenses that were telephoto length. And that's about it. Again, it is a big lens, it is a heavy lens, but again, it gets you the reach that you are looking for. All right, so now that we've taken a look at the specs and the features of each lens, let's go ahead and take a look at the comparison, starting with the extreme close-up. And as you can see, There's quite a difference between the two. All right, so now I'm going to show you what you look like when you're shooting with these lenses. All right, so starting off with the 70-350, I have it mounted to the Sony a6700 and the little handy dandy Peak Design wrist strap. So this is what you're going to look like when you're shooting it. Backwards cap, camera on, unlocked, here we go. Just like this. All right, so now it's the 200-600 mounted on the Sony a7 IV and the 1.4 teleconverter. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how this one looks. All right, so now that I've showed you the side-by-side comparisons and we've shown you just the detailed features and all that, we're gonna go ahead and take a look, and I'm gonna talk about each lens and kind of what they mean. Is it something you should consider shooting with? Is it something you should consider buying, and all of this in between? So let's go ahead and start off with the 200-600. So the 200-600 was an extremely important lens in Sony's ecosphere system of wildlife telephoto shooters. And the main reason why is because we didn't have much that was native to that E-mount at the time. I remember when the A6000 came out, I believe it was the 55-210, that little tiny little baby thing. Sometimes I was able to get decent shots out of it, kind of sharp, but for the most part, it just kind of fell apart. You know, 210 just wasn't a long enough, you know, focal length to be able to get much of anything. Now, then we had the 70-300. The 70-300, in my opinion, was enough to get you good shots at the zoo, something like that. You know, where the animals, excuse me, were close enough that, you know, you're able to go out there and take the shot and get them in frame and get the nice headshots and this and that. That's to me where the 70-300 kind of went in the range. So it wasn't a serious telephoto lens by any means, but I guess it kind of was the only one in town until we finally got the Sony 200-600. So with that being said, this lens, again, one of Sony's most important lenses in their ecosphere, mainly because we finally got that much coveted 600mm focal length, which what we need, basically. So with that being said, it's a big lens. I can handhold it, I can manhandle it, but not a lot of the other people can. And this is not a combo that you're just going to be walking around hand holding. It's going to be very tough to do, even for me. I would have to have a strap on there, and even after a few hours or the day in there, that strap is my back's still going to be hurting from that. Number one. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the 70-350. So this is also another important lens in Sony's ecosphere, and it's almost going to be basically for the same reason. So again, APS-C, so we get that 1.5 crop factor, which is good. You know, we're going to get a little bit further in. But at the time, again, it was only the 55-210 mil, and then later the 70-300G. Now, the problem with the 70-300G is that while we got decent results, you know, telephoto-wise, you know, again, it was good for the zoo, maybe a little bit of light wildlife stuff out there. It was pretty heavy. And that coupled with like an A6000, it was extremely front heavy. It would fall over here. If you want to see a comparison between the 70-350G and the 70-300 full frame G, let me know in the comments down below and I can totally make that video. But as it said, or as it was, the 70-300G, it was okay for what it was at the time. But when this one came out, right here, this 70-350G, it came out a couple years ago. It kind of changed the game for APS-C, I want to say telephoto shooting. I don't want to say wildlife because the thing is that there is no way that these two are going to directly compare with each other as far as wildlife shots. But the thing is though, is that when you are just walking around, maybe hiking with a significant other and all that, and you just want to enjoy the sights, the visuals, you just want to enjoy being outside, This 200 to 600 is way too big, and there's no way you're gonna carry it around without some sort of argument happening, because you're grumbling, then they're grumbling, and you're grumbling, all because this is too big and it's too much weight. You might get a couple of good shots, granted, yes, but so are you there to get like the shot of the bird, which is, you know, super pixel perfect? Or are you there to go enjoy time with your significant other? That's the difference. So with this one, now you can do both, because this is such a small, compact little setup that you can keep it right here. You can put your hand strap on there, walk around with it. You are not gonna be really noticing that it's around. And in the case that you actually do see like a bird or something that you wanna get a shot of, now this is gonna be your perfect chance, because now, there we go, look. Right there, bam, you get the shot, and then you're done. That's it, you move on. Again, with this one, it's big, it's bulky, it's heavy. After a while, you're gonna lose the energy off of it. This one, you can just take it with you basically all day and really not worry about it. The difference is that huge as far as the weight and the compactness and the convenience factor goes. It's huge, huge. So now with that being said, we have one more portion of video left, and that one is gonna be back in the morning where we have a decent amount of light, and we're gonna have a little bit of a shootout. All right guys, so we're back. It's the second day. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the portion of the video where I just show you the different focal lengths for each setup. All right, starting off with the 70-350. 350 on the Sony full frame is equivalent to about 525 full frame millimeters. So it's still gonna be pretty far. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the shot now. All right, so now we're on the full frame A7 IV, the 200-600, and we're gonna be shooting at the 600 millimeter focal length. All right, so we're here near the end of the test, and I do have a special bonus for you. We have the A6700 hooked up to the 1.4 teleconverter, hooked up to the 200-600. That's a lot. So we're gonna show you now just how far we're getting all the way in at the 600 end on this one with that 1.4 with the crop factor of the A6700. All right, so we're back at the house. I've gone over the test results with you, and there's really only one thing left to answer, and that is which system is right for you. So on one hand, we have the big 200-600, and that is perfect for a planned shoot that you're gonna go out. Meaning that I'm gonna go out and shoot this bird today, or I'm gonna go out and do some birding today without any distractions. Because you know it's gonna be big and heavy, but you're willing to put up with that to get the best possible image quality from your camera and of that bird or animal or whatever you're shooting. That's what that's for. The 70-350, on the other hand, so this is the kind of lens that maybe like an amateur birder or somebody who wants to kind of dabble into wildlife and bird photography are probably looking to get, because again, it is extremely easy to carry, it's very small, it's very lightweight, it's very balanced. Most importantly, you can hold it with you the whole day, which also makes it a great B cam if, say, now you haven't planned to go somewhere, you're just, I'm gonna go ahead and go on a hike or go on a stroll somewhere that you do know maybe some birds are here and there, then that's the perfect camera to take with you, because you know you'll still be able to get high quality 525 focal length equivalent shots of whatever on your stroll there, and still get a decent shot and, you know, be happy with the results without the back-breaking weight and with a little bit of a loss in the image quality that you get out of the 200-600. So with that being said, I hope you figured out which one is right for you. I'm gonna go ahead and end up this video right now. I will see you guys for the next one, and until then, take care.